The theme for this poster, different but the same, was intended to drive home the point. Many of the themes highlighted here do run a common thread in terms of the ultimate ends of these three organizations, which is doing good through the organization's operations to better society in progressive ways. Standard Chartered Bank was the result of a merger in 1969 between Standard Bank of South Africa and the Chartered Bank of India, Australia, and China. Today, the firm is one of the largest 100 companies listed on the London Stock Exchange and has an international presence in 60 markets and employs 86,000 people from around the world. Its core values embedded into its organization culture include promoting an inclusive and flexible work culture that embraces diversity and creativity as a means to growth, acting ethically and being trustworthy. Retail and corporate banking are its primary product divisions. The firm's Here for Good slogan is indicative of the brand image the firm wishes to project as a courageous bank that stands for something, that balances its ambition with its conscience, a bank that stands beside people and not above them, and one that looks not only at the profit it makes, but how it makes that profit. In other words, it wishes to have a positive social impact through its operations. This is the kind of organization that resonates with most millennials according to a SAP trend analysis, which found that most millennials like purpose-driven work and prefer working for organizations driven by a social purpose. This positions Standard Chartered in the perfect context to grow its revenues and also progress in social outcomes as well. From all the main drivers of change the international banking industry faces today, the most significant, arguably, is the impact of modern technology. Luckily, technology is an area that Standard Chartered has thrived in, even earning Best Consumer Digital Bank of 2017 by Global Finance. It is abundantly clear that digital is no longer considered a perk, quote unquote, but merely a survival essential for banks in a Gen Y run world. International banks like Standard Chartered's peers, JP Morgan Chase, have been trailblazers in implementing smartphone banking solutions through a digital everything strategy, as well as investing in big tech such as machine learning, AI, big data, and IoT, the Internet of Things. Standard Chartered does well in the retail segment today as it rapidly identified and implemented smartphone banking apps to its Asia-Pacific regions in time. The firm was quick in its response regarding this. This digital revolution is very much internal as well, as big tech like AI and machine learning open up so many possibilities. Firms will have to adapt new technology to remain competitive in the industry going forward. However, what does this mean for the future of work? Are machines going to replace humans? Deloitte answers this question by replying no. It is not the goal that technology is going to replace humans. Computers are very good at automating tasks which we like to call the quote-unquote Ford assembly line kind of tasks. Tasks which are excessively repetitive and standardized. Machines do well at this. However, tech still cannot match the human capabilities of judgment, creativity, persuasion, and problem-solving skills that humans bring to the table. Reskilling of employees for the jobs of the future will remain crucial. In terms of ethics, if Standard Chartered wishes to stay true to its words here for good, as well as in terms of ensuring a future-proof workforce ready to take on tomorrow's challenges. Moving on to the non-profit sector, welcome to CARE International. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, CARE is an international not-for-profit organization dedicated to saving lives and ending poverty. The specific issue that the organization is highly passionate about, dedicates its resources to solving, is an issue at the very frontiers of modern-day social justice, which is the issue of ending gender-based inequalities in all forms around the world. Operating in 94 countries including Sri Lanka, CARE provides a multifaceted assistance program, mainly including economic and social empowerment, to disadvantaged people through working with state and non-state actors. In terms of its initiatives in Sri Lanka, CARE directs most of its focus to addressing the root cause of poverty in Sri Lanka's dry zone areas, as well as providing emergency aid and assistance to those affected by flooding and landslides. CARE's approach deserves some praise in this aspect, as unlike other NGOs that provide temporary quick fix like solutions like just applying a band-aid over a wound, CARE's approach is much more different. It's much more systematic. It is based on a solid foundation of facts acquired by sociological research teams on the ground, seeing things with their own eyes, and then developing and implementing a well thought out solution plan from there on out. With a normal for-profit business, one could argue that a modern firm such as Standard Chartered, for example, wants to operate in ways that are progressive to society and do good for society, as we heard from the Here for Good slogan. However, CARE's core purpose and its goals, its ends, significantly differ from a normal business. To understand it fully, we need to consider the work of an influential American philosopher whose work affected modern-day ideas of the word development and influenced fields from politics to international relations. John Rawls would respond to meritocracy by asking the question, if meritocracy rewards performance, how could people perform if they were disadvantaged from the very start and they didn't have opportunities growing up to advance in life? He developed a thought experiment called the Veil of Ignorance. He asked us to imagine that we were in a conscious state before our birth. We could see the world and the countries in it and how they operated. However, we could not choose where we were born. Factors like how much wealth our families had, or what kind of race, or what sexuality, or what gender we would be once we were born. Given this state of affairs, Rawls asks us, given this risk that you might end up disadvantaged yourself, what kind of society would you still want to ensure that you succeed even if you were disadvantaged? What institutions would this society have to ensure those ends? The conclusion was that we would want a society that worked well even for the least well off. The core idea of this all comes down to the fact that a person's birthplace and context should not determine that person's future. In other words, a society where everyone starts the race at equal starting points. This is what organizations like CARE exists for, to set disadvantaged and institutionally ignored people at equal starting points in running the race that is life. Sri Lanka has ratified without any hesitation the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The Ministry of Women and Child Affairs, or MWCA, serves an important role in making true the words of these UN conventions, as well as a host of local policies enacted in that effect. Its overarching purpose through all it does is to develop and empower the lives of women and children economically and socially, providing people at risk or who face injustices with the support they need to progress and thrive in a modern economy. The MWCA's responsibilities target a holistic vision of development that isn't purely infrastructural. Rather, it aims at changing attitudes about women in society, ultimately winning over hearts and minds. A case in point, in 2016, the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs strategically partnered with Vim, a Unilever brand, attempting a PR image shift away from the bad perception of a company that makes dishwashing products for women, a stereotypical role, to a progressive 21st century brand, supportive of the economic development of all women around the nation through a range of programs aimed at enabling and encouraging female entrepreneurship opportunities. The Ministry of Women and Child Affairs is also aware that a digitalized world presents with it new challenges for women, such as the issue of online harassment and bullying of women on social media. The ministry also raises awareness on security online. Its efforts in shining a light on these modern issues is important. In her 2016 concession speech, Hillary Clinton stated, "Someday, someone will shatter that highest and hardest glass ceiling." On a similar note, the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs is in the pursuit of moving towards a someday as well. towards an ideal Sri Lanka where women can aspire to and achieve their dreams without glass ceilings, and a society mindset rather, that recognizes that they are deserving of every opportunity and chance that this world has to offer them.